Tonight on Cronkite News, ASU football is no longer undefeated. We'll take a look at how the Sun Devils stumbled in their first conference game of the season.
Plus, he was the longtime voice of the Phoenix Suns, loved by generations of fans. Tonight, we honor the legend Al McCoy.
And a new decision from the Arizona Supreme Court over tens of thousands of voters and their eligibility to vote in this year's election. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Kendall Flynn.
And I'm Anna McClure. Thank you for joining us.
The Sun Devils football team played their first Big 12 conference game in program history this past weekend. ASU traveled to Lubbock, Texas to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Nearly 60,000 fans were in attendance to watch the Devils' Big 12 debut. The Red Raiders jumped out to a big 14-0 lead early in the contest, but ASU was able to battle back and cut the deficit to just 4 points. Early in the second half, former Sun Devil Jalen Conyers took a direct snap into the end zone for another Red Raiders touchdown. Cam Scadaboo scored twice in the second half, but it was too little too late as the Sun Devils fell 30-22. ASU is off this week, but the team hosts Kansas on October 5th at Mountain America Stadium.
To kind of have a plan for the next 3 weeks in terms of what we're repping, what we want to be good at in this next 3-game cycle. That's why you have to self-scout, because you got to know what teams are preparing for. That way you can, balance essentially what you've done in the past with counters.
The Arizona Cardinals faced off against the Detroit Lions yesterday at State Farm Stadium. The Cardinals were coming into this game looking to win 2 in a row against one of the top teams in the NFC. Arizona's offense picked up right where they left off when Marvin Harrison Jr. scored his 3rd touchdown of the season, evening the score at 7 apiece. After their opening touchdown drive, the Cardinals couldn't find any rhythm. Arizona was unable to find the end zone for the rest of the game, losing by the final score 20-13. Here's Dennis Gardeck on the team's close defeat.
It's letting the things that I need to get better at burn for a little bit. I think if you put it to bed too soon, the motivation to get it corrected in a timely and urgent matter isn't there as much, so I want to let it burn. I want to feel like I let the guys down on the plays that I need to get corrected.
As the NFL season kicks into high gear, Arizona is not only focused on football, but is also experiencing a surge in sports betting. With billions of dollars on the line, Arizona's sports betting market continues to mature. Our Kobe Van Noort joins us now and takes a look at the numbers and trends shaping this betting season.
Football season is back, and with it comes a surge in sports betting nationwide. The American Gaming Association projects over $35 billion will be wagered on the NFL this year, a massive 30% increase over last season. With nearly 99% of bets placed online, Arizona sports bettors are staying connected wherever they are. Arizona's sports betting market is expected to keep growing in 2023. U.S. gaming revenue reached a record $66 billion, a 10.3% increase over the previous year, with sports betting playing a major role. Arizona is no exception, seeing significant growth in the amount of money being wagered on football. With the popularity of online platforms, 2 giants have emerged as the clear leaders. FanDuel and DraftKings dominate, leaving other operators to compete for a much smaller share of the market.
Those two combined have more than $11 billion in handle in Arizona. The state's total is $18 billion. So again, I'm not very good at math, but let's just say 55% of the total market share, give or take, is those two alone. Other than those two, it's everybody else is fighting for 3rd place.
As sports betting becomes more accessible, the Arizona Department of Gaming warns bettors to ensure they use licensed sportsbook and practice responsible betting. As the action on the field ramps up, so does the excitement. In the studio, Kobe Van Noort, Cronkite News.
The Diamondbacks' 4-game win streak ended yesterday in Milwaukee.
The Snakes offense put up 7 runs in the 3rd inning to get out to an 8-0 lead. But with the lead down to 3 in the 8th inning, the momentum shifted. After retiring the first 2 batters in the 8th inning, the Diamondbacks bullpen allowed 6 consecutive Brewers to reach base and 4 runs to score. The Brew Crew won by a final score of 10-9. The D-backs lost after leading by 8 runs, which is the largest blown lead in franchise history. The Snakes will look to get back on track tonight against the Giants in the first of a 3-game series at Chase Field, despite the big loss yesterday. The Diamondbacks still took 3 of 4 against the Brewers and maintained a 2-game lead over the Braves for the last NL wildcard spot.
It was a sad weekend for the Valley sports fans as we all learned about the passing of legendary Suns broadcaster Al McCoy. Calling games for 51 years, McCoy was the longest tenured term team broadcaster in the NBA history. The 91-year-old retired at the end of last year. Here's a look at some of the highlights of his storied career.
Well, how you doing, everybody? Al McCoy with you, along with Tim Kempton, courtside hit at U.S. Airways Center.
He was the soundtrack for Suns fans for decades.
Up comes down the left side, hands it off to Barbosa, a three-pointer, Shazam! LB for 3. 7 Suns, Strawberry off to Nash to the cutting Marion. Whammo time! Oh! The Matrix flying in for a wham! Bam! Slam!
You sold the game, you sold the Suns in this marketplace, and people loved your voice, your calling to the games, and I think the organization will forever be indebted to you for what your contributions have been.
There will not be another broadcaster, at least for the Suns, like Al McCoy, because he meant so much to so many people and brought so much joy and, unfortunately, some pain along the way. But he made the pain of those tough losses a little more palatable just because of who he was and how he brought the games to life for us.
To play the game is great. To win the game is greater. But to love the game is the greatest of all. And my 51 years have been the greatest of all.
Student-run radio station Blaze Radio provides students with opportunities to cover a variety of topics. From music,
this is Sensei Garage,
to sports coverage.
Against the Brewers in his last outing, he went
to news.
The bill also gives parents the ability to see.
And entertainment updates. Blaze Radio offers a fun environment to gain valuable broadcast experience. To find out more, visit blazeradioonline.com.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X at @CutASU.
The WNBA playoffs tipped off yesterday, and the Phoenix Mercury were right in the center of the action.
That's right, Kendall. The Mercury went on the road to play the Minnesota Lynx in Game 1 of a best-of-3 series. Down by 14 points at halftime, the Mercury battled all the way back. Phoenix went on a 10-2 run in the fourth quarter, giving the Mercury the lead with under 5 minutes to play. But in the final 2 minutes, the Lynx outscored Phoenix 11-3 down the stretch. The Mercury lost 102-95, pushing the Mercury to the brink of elimination. The Mercury's final regular season home game, which took place last week, was a night about honoring Diana Taurasi and the legacy she has made in the Valley. Taurasi was surrounded by her fans, family, and friends to support her in what could be her final game in Arizona. For more on Taurasi, here's Iman Abraham.
The Mercury's final home game was sold out, with fans wanting to see Diana Taurasi play for what could be the last time. The night was all about DT, as her teammates even honored her with wearing her jersey when they warmed up for the game. The fans were also given shirts to support Taurasi.
She's been doing this for a long time. Her parents have watched hundreds, if not thousands, of games, and they're crying and smiling like she's an 8-year-old girl out there, you know. This is a moment that, you know, when you experience it, you're going to remember it forever.
The Phoenix Mercury has been a home for Diana Taurasi for the last 20 years. And they're going to face off Seattle Storm as they head into the playoffs. It is a crazy packed night with lots of fans here to celebrate DT's possible last game of the regular season. The love the fans have for Taurasi was felt in the stadium as they chanted, "One more year," not ready for DT to retire just yet.
This place has given me so many amazing relationships that I'll take with me forever. You know, whether I come back next year or not, I'll always be a part of this franchise.
Taurasi was surrounded by her family and friends that flew out to see her play. Her former coach from University of Connecticut, Gino Ariyama, was there, as well as former teammates from UConn, including Sue Bird.
There was something nice about being on the court today, and I don't have a big circle. It's a small circle, but they were all there today, and that was pretty cool.
The Mercury's final home game was the perfect farewell to Taurasi and her team as they are continuing to play to win another championship to bring back home. In Phoenix, Iman Abraham, Cronkite News.
The Mercury will take on the Minnesota Lynx Wednesday night in the second game of the playoffs. And for Taurasi and the Mercury, they hope it's not their final game played for the season.
This weekend, ASU Golf headed up to Illinois to compete in the Fighting Illini Invitational, and it was a successful business trip. Sun Devil and current U.S. Amateur champion Josele Ballester took the individual win at Olympia Fields and also tied a tournament record with his final score of 10 under. The team placed second, just one stroke behind Georgia Tech. Anna, even though we're in the beginning of the fall season, it still doesn't feel like we've left the summer heat.
That's right, Kendall. It is still hot outside. Tell me about it, Elizabeth, joining us now from the Cronkite Weather Center.
Yeah, overall, the evening tonight is looking pretty good. By the time the sun goes down at 7 p.m., we will be at below those triple digits at 98. Then those temperatures will decrease through the evening. 10 p.m. will be at 91. And overall, the sky is looking pretty clear. I would say it would be a great night to go for an evening walk. However, Phoenix is under an ozone high pollution advisory. And we're sitting about the unhealthy for some range. So this means if you have any respiratory or lung illness, it may be in your best interest to remain indoors for the rest of tonight. Now those lows are looking pretty comfortable for tomorrow. Phoenix will be sitting at 79, high 70s along much of the western portion of the state. Then our lowest low will be seen in Window Rock at 40 and Flagstaff 41. Now we will still be seeing triple digits for those high temperatures tomorrow. Phoenix will be at 106. Then we're seeing those 107s, 108s along much of the southwestern portion of the state. Now, if you're looking for some relief from the heat, your best bet is to head up north, where Flagstaff will be at 79, Grand Canyon 81. Now, these temperatures are remaining so high because this high pressure system and this ridge are moving together across Arizona, and they're keeping those temperatures high. So as we look through the next couple of days, by Thursday we'll be up to 109 again, by Friday back up to 111, Saturday 112, and then these temperatures will slowly decrease. By Tuesday we'll be at 105. Now these temperatures are all well above the average for this time of the year. In the Cronkite Weather Studio, I'm Elizabeth Klein.
Coming up next, a river in Arizona is being revitalized.
The Santa Cruz River, which supplied water for over 12,000 years, has been restored. But soon, the Arizona-Santa Cruz River will be Arizona's first urban national wildlife refuge. Details on the groundbreaking plan coming up.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut. Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X at @CutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
Learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
With a look at the news headlines from across our state, some clarity today for the 100,000 Arizonians whose eligibility to vote was in question. Sienna Monet joins us from the newsroom to explain how the recent ruling by AZ Supreme Court will impact voters.
In a major decision, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled that nearly 100,000 voters whose status was in question will now be eligible to cast their ballots. The issue stems from a decade-old error involving Arizona's Motor Vehicle Division and voter registration records. According to the Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, Arizonans who obtained their driver's license before October 1996 were not required to provide proof of citizenship. The problem went unnoticed for nearly 2 decades until Maricopa County elections flagged it earlier this month. On Friday, the state Supreme Court ruled these voters will still be allowed to participate in this year's election. In a statement, the Secretary of State said this is a victory for voters, quote, "The court faced a stark choice to allow voters to participate in just a few federal races on a limited ballot, or to make their voices heard across hundreds of decisions on a full ballot that includes a variety of local and state offices." And while voters will receive ballots as usual this year, they will be required to provide proof of citizenship for future elections. In the newsroom, Sienna Monet, Cronkite News.
Vice President Kamala Harris is returning to Arizona for a campaign visit. Harris will make a stop in our state on Friday. While the campaign did not say which Arizona city she will be visiting, this marks the second time she has visited Arizona as a Democratic nominee. She will be campaigning in Pennsylvania before stopping in Arizona on Friday, then she heads to Nevada. And former President Donald Trump says he doesn't see himself running for president again if he loses this year's election. Speaking to a journalist for Sinclair Broadcast Group, Trump said he doesn't see himself running again in 2028, but added he hopes he's going to be successful this time around. For 12,000 years, the Santa Cruz River supplied water in southern Arizona, but due to excessive use, the river dried up. However, there have been some recent efforts to revitalize the river, and it could soon become an urban national wildlife refuge. Andrew Jackson, who owns part of the habitat, began working with the Santa Cruz River Refuge Coalition to help preserve some of the land. They recently collaborated with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, to develop a conservation plan. The proposed boundary would run through both Santa Cruz and Pima counties and will maximize outdoor access, habitat protection, and ecotourism. If approved, it will become Arizona's first urban national wildlife refuge. Tensions continue to rise on the border of Lebanon and Israel, with Israel launching a new wave of airstrikes that have reportedly killed hundreds of people, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry. The Israeli strikes targeted buildings housing military equipment controlled by Hezbollah. The strikes killed over 350 people and over 1,000 injured. The Israeli military is urging residents who live near the Hezbollah military locations to evacuate and seek safety. The Pentagon said today the U.S. will send additional troops to the region after the recent increase in violence in the area. Here's what Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had to say to the Lebanese civilians.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon. Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields. It placed rockets in your living rooms and missiles in your garage. Those rockets and missiles are aimed directly at our cities, directly at our citizens. To defend our people against Hezbollah strikes, we must take out those weapons.
Today's strikes mark the deadliest day between the two countries since 2006. Back here in the U.S., the violent crime rate dropped 3% across the nation from 2022 to 2023. The data from the FBI also shows a dramatic drop in the number of murders, which is down 12%. According to the FBI, this is the largest drop in decades. And that's it for tonight's news headlines. I'm DeAndre Sanders. Now back to Kendall and Anna at the desk.
Coming up next on Cronkite News.
A big penguin makes a viral splash. After the break, we'll get to meet a new friend at an aquarium in Melbourne, Australia. This and more coming up next.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut. Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X @cutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
To be able to learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere, Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Welcome back. California is taking another step to try and protect the environment.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law on Sunday that will ban all plastic bags in grocery stores. Before signing this law, the state already had a measure in place banning thin plastic bags while still allowing shoppers to purchase a recyclable bag with thicker plastic. But starting in 2026, the state will ban plastic bags altogether to combat further pollution.
In more consumer news, Motel 6 was sold for $525 million. Oyo, an India-based hotel company, is purchasing the chain in cash. A little fun fact, Motel 6 got its name after originally offering a nightly rate of $6 cash when it was founded in 1962. A baby penguin in Melbourne, Australia makes a cannonball on the internet.
A cannonball is right. Meet Pesto, a 9-month-old 50-pound king penguin. Pesto's rise to fame began at the Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium. Zookeepers are now saying that he is on his way to adulthood and began to lose some of his baby feathers. The zoo expects Pesto to begin swimming lessons from his dad very soon.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Kendall Flynn.
And I'm Anna McClure. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.